Hello, Eric Rainwater here, Deacon Eric, on this fine summer evening when I'm recording this. We'll see how this goes. I know the cicadas are singing, and way back in the background behind me someone's mowing, but we'll see how this goes. I'll try to be nice and clear, and we'll just see what happens. I just kind of roll with the punches, and yeah, I'm not too worried about it. Sometimes if you feel like you can't hear me, it's because you need to turn it up. This isn't super professional audio, and so sometimes you just need to turn your end up. It sounds fine on my end, but I'm at this stage satisfied with a little. Not a whole lot of spit and polish on this channel right now. Well, this evening I'm enjoying. I picked this up. My friend was talking about it, and I went to my local pipe shop, and it was the first thing they pointed out and saying it was going to run out soon, so I decided to try it. I got some Cornell and Deal small batch Semper Navy cask. It's pretty good. It's still a little moist, right? And so it's flake tobacco, so it's in little sheets, and it tastes really good. But I'm glad to open it and just kind of taking it slow, letting it dry out just a little. It's a little too moist. You don't want it super moist. But rum barrel aged honey in here. You got bright Virginias. You got some Thai Izmir and some Turkish Izmir. Let's see. Navy cask enhances our favorite summertime small batch with notes of raw rum barrel-aged wildflower honey. Matured for a year in a retired rum barrel, this Navy cask honey imparts a subtly boozy character to the classic Semper profile, elevating the blend's natural sweetness and fruity highlights with deeper barrel-aged notes of vanilla, charred oak, and toffee. It's true. Whispers of silver tequila and elderflower lend further complexity, resulting in a rich, nuanced profile with a refreshing yet rounded finish. Well, all I can tell you is it's pretty dadgum good. It's subtly sweet. It's just got that a honey topping. It's not overly sweet, but it's got that nice Virginia. I think that Turkish kind of gives it just a little bit of flavor. And more and more I like kind of that Navy flake pressed tobacco. It's really, really, really good. So if you could still get it, maybe get you some Semper Navy cask this year. But if you don't like it at first, give it a little bit. Pop it open, let it dry out a little bit, or just wait even a while, let it age. Don't pop it at all until later. But it's pretty good. It's been a minute since I bought some tin tobacco. Spent a little bit more on it, but it was worth it. It was good. Alright. Well, what I want to talk about this evening, and this will be afternoon when you're watching this when it comes out, or I guess whenever you're watching it. I don't think I got a lot of people watching live when it premieres. It's not a live video anyways. So I record these and then I try to post it where it'll drop on Tuesday afternoons. Had a little bit of back and forth sickness in the families, like pink eye and stomach bugs and stuff, and I got it the most mild, but there was a couple weeks I missed there. So for those who really cared and those that are following, sorry about that. I don't have too big of a following, so I don't think I upset too many people. And like I've said, I'm somewhat doing this for my own pleasure. You know, it's a discussion. I'm talking to whoever's watching on the other side, but clearly I'm here by myself, just talking mostly to myself, right? I'm trying to get the ideas to travel from my brain where they sound really good and get them out here and hear them and work them out. That's why they say smart people talk to themselves. So I'm just kind of really recording myself talking to myself, right? So what I'm trying to say are the things I want to hear to motivate me, to help myself along. But one thing you learn when you teach leadership and train in leadership is you build yourself up so that you're more available for others, to serve others. It's not just about yourself. So my hope is that whoever watches these, it helps them, encourages them. All right, but I digress. To what I really want to talk about this evening is I want to talk about being prepared, having a preparedness mindset, not being a prepper, which for some that might be wisdom, but a prepared mindset. You know, the what is it? The Scout motto is "Be prepared," and I'm an Eagle Scout, but I like the Latin kind of version is Semper Paratus, and that's actually the motto or the slogan for the U.S. Coast Guard. Semper Paratus. You know, and you might think of the Marines, Semper Fi, always faithful, Semper Fidelis, but Semper, always, and then Paratus is prepared or ready, so always ready. I think that's what the Royal Rangers like to say, always ready. It's the same idea, the Boy Scouts, Coast Guard, Royal Rangers, which is another scouting type of organization. They're saying that as a main mindset, a slogan, a motto, be prepared. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean to always be prepared? When Paul says, I'm in season and out of season, right? I'm always ready. Well, does that mean that I need to have gear and stuff and everything for every situation? Maybe. In the physical sense, there might be some things you need to have, right? Some basic things to be prepared for. You might need a first aid kit in case you or somebody else gets hurt. Things like that. But here's the reality. You cannot physically have everything for every situation. Now, if you are a first responder, EMT, fireman, policeman, you might have more gear than the average citizen on them or in the vehicle, because it's literally your job to respond first to emergency situations, and that's being prepared for emergency situations is part of it. That's why you have a first aid kit. Maybe you have some practical stuff, uh, for CPR, different things, and also, however you want to deal with self-defense, and then, having some people call it a bug-out bag, I guess, different things. And so there's some practical parts of that. Like I said, there's the preppers, right? They're hyper vigilant about being prepared for like extreme emergencies. And there's a measure of that could be wisdom. But what I'm talking about is something here. A mindset, a way of thinking, a way of moving through the world. Because frankly, sometimes situations happen and you don't have the right gear. Do you know how to deal with the situation with the wrong gear, or whatever you have on hand, whatever you can find? And so the Boy Scouts, the Royal Rangers, those mottos, when they're talking about being always ready, or being prepared, it's more a way of training yourself to where you're adaptable to the situation. There's a measure of wisdom when you go out and you're hiking and you're outside. You have water bottle and rain gear. You have a way to carry water, and you have a way to keep the water you don't want off your body. That's pretty basic. Maybe you have a basic first aid kit with you. Sure. But when we trained in Scouts, and when I worked for the Boy Scouts, when we did first aid training, we didn't just do it with the gear you're supposed to have. We had to learn how to do first aid with whatever you could get your hands on. Now, part of that, one job I had was as a wrangler. So it was basically kind of a cowboy. And we didn't have cows, but we rode horses. We were in the back country, and if something happened, we need to deal with it with whatever we got. So we trained ourselves how to use this piece of equipment that's meant for something with horse riding to brace, a broken arm, to create, a way to carry somebody that was hurt. How to get how to compress a wound, put pressure on a wound with the thing. Things like that. And again, some of that's still knowing what you have, but that was more the mindset. It was more about getting into a mindset where adaptability becomes second nature, where you know how to assess a situation, and then whatever you have available, you use that. And that's more here. Now, my father taught me to use this kind of mindset for all kinds of situations. For public speaking, for teaching, things like that. Always be prepared to be able to teach someone, to create if a situation is somebody's made a mistake, whatever, it's a teachable moment. But if you're not prepared to teach at any moment, then the moment is wasted. Right? And my dad, he intentionally trained me. He intentionally sometimes I would co-teach Sunday school with my dad when I was in my young 20s. And he knew there was going to be a Sunday he couldn't come, that he wasn't going to be able to make it. He knew ahead of time sometimes, but he would wait until the day before to tell me, so that I had to go in and I had to just already be prepared for whatever I was going to teach, right? Or be able to prepare very quickly between just in one night. He trained me that way, and training is a part of it. But what you're mostly training is your mind and your way of viewing the world and assessing, and you're paying attention to things. And your mind is always working. It's always paying attention. It's always taking in. And so always ready is I'm also always learning. I'm always looking at what there is. And it's fun to be that way. And so it's pretty constant. And the reality is, a lot of times I make these videos off the cuff because I'm always prepared to talk. I can talk for 30 minutes to 2 hours at the drop of a hat. You give me a platform and a mic, and I can talk, not just randomly, but I can teach you something. And it may be pretty basic, but I can do that at the drop of a hat. Not because Eric Rainwater is great and is all-knowing. Not at all. There's plenty I don't know. But I'm always preparing and thinking about things. I'm always learning so that when the situation presents itself, I can talk into a situation. And I'm trying to take in enough information to have a broad enough view of all subjects as well, so that whatever the conversation needs to be, if I run into somebody and they want to talk about weird stuff, they want to talk about aliens or evolution or science or God or politics or whatever, I'm prepared to talk about it. I may not be an expert. You want to talk about football? Let's talk about football. There's very little that I can't talk about. Not an expert, not claiming to be an expert, but I'm always thinking about things. I'm always studying constantly, and it doesn't wear me out at all, because it's a mindset of enjoying knowledge, enjoying people, and enjoying understanding, right? And sometimes I say the wrong thing, and you got to go back and you got to go, well, I was wrong about that. But whatever, that's okay. You got to roll with the punches, and that's the other part. You got to be adaptable, and you're rolling with it. And that's the thing. You gotta learn to be adaptable and not be threatened. And so I think a good part of being prepared and being ready is also having a strong self-identity. It's knowing who you are. Right? When you do a lot of leadership training, is a building up of yourself, knowing that you're going to be able to say those same lessons you've learned for yourself into other people, to encourage them to fulfill the mission. Because anything worth doing is going to take more than you. It's a lot of the times it's not stuff you can do on your own. You need other people and their energy and their strength and their wisdom, right? And their skill that you don't have. But they might have the skill and the knowledge, but they don't know how to lead people. They don't know how to cast a vision, right? And that's what leadership is. Leadership is learning how to stand back and look and see the situation. Well, having a mindset of preparedness teaches you how to do that. this little book from Baden-Powell, Young Knights of the Empire, Their Code and Further Scout Yarns. All the wokesters are going to hate that word empire. Whatever. Still can learn from anybody, even if you don't like certain things. And I like Baden-Powell, but I don't agree with every little thing. He's a man from a different time. But I like this little bit. How to become a backwoodsman. And you're like, what's a backwoodsman? Someone lives in the backwoods, right? Is that like some hobo that lives over in that little... He might be a pretty good backwoodsman if he's living in the trees over there. But no, it means more like where you're away from civilization. And this is what Baden-Powell says. Any fellow who means to be a backwoodsman, whether it is for pleasure or for work, should first of all get some practice at it at home. For 8 years of my life, I hardly ever slept in a house, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But to enjoy it, you must know how to make yourself comfortable in camp. And then he goes into these different ways of camping and tents and hammocks and things, some practical stuff of how to learn how to put up a shelter, how to build a shelter, and learn to be comfortable in the woods. And you take that information though, but you got to start doing it. And so that's why scouting was such a powerful thing, because we did it when we were little kids in the backyard or in campgrounds close by. Spent a lot of time outside. Learn to be comfortable outside. And then eventually, for me, I got to where I preferred to be outside, and I slept better outside. And there was a season of my life where I didn't sleep in beds. Until I got married. Obviously I like being near my wife more than I like being in the woods. But man, I really enjoy sleeping outside. And I sleep good outside because I'm comfortable. Well, that took years of time to get comfortable. And me, I prefer a hammock over most things. But there was a season where I just slept on the ground. I would go camping and I would just sleep on like a little blanket on the ground. I might have a thin pad, just a blanket, and I'd have like maybe a tarp to throw over me if it started raining, but I just slept outside under the stars, and it was fantastic. But it's like you said, I had to learn it over time. And so anything worth doing, you got to learn it. You got to give yourself patience. You got to practice it, right? If you're going to be good at an instrument, you got to practice it. You got to do the little things. And I'm not good at everything, but I'm good at being prepared, and I'm good at being outside. I'm good at adapting to situations. Not because I'm some great guy, but because I've practiced it over years of time. So if you're a young man, start getting comfortable outside, right? If you think you need to be a prepper and need to prepare for emergency situations, don't just go buy a bunch of gear. It's not going to do you any good if you don't know how to use it, and if you're not comfortable in emergency situations. Right? If you're not out there helping people and adapting to things, it's not going to do you any good. You've got to get a preparedness mindset above all things. And part of a preparedness mindset is learning how to do a lot with a little, right? And you don't have to have an overly minimalist lifestyle where you don't have stuff, but there's a little bit of that. And for me, my idea of prepping, for emergency situations, there's some stuff to do at home, have enough food to be for a while, and store some water, and there's some practical stuff there. But I'm not going to build a complex and have so much food, and then I'm gonna shoot whoever tries to come and get it. No, I'm gonna try to feed people, but also you got to be prepared to move. You got to be prepared to travel, and you got to get comfortable. And it's just more fun though to just learn to enjoy the outside. You don't always have to be preparing for an emergency situation. No, just go and enjoy adapting to your environment. Have fun. If you make preparedness fun, you'll be better at it. And if you apply it to all the areas of your life, then you become a more well-rounded person. You create a lifestyle of self-education and self-learning. You're setting yourself up for success, no matter what happens. And that's why I want my motto for my life, for my children, for those that I come in contact with who I feel the Lord brings into my sphere of influence. I want to give them a motto, but a lifestyle and a way of thinking, a way of doing life that is Semper Paratus, an always ready, a be prepared lifestyle. And you learn to enjoy it. So recently, I went on kind of my yearly personal retreat, and man, it was raining. I had to set up my camp, set up my tarp and hammock in pouring down rain. But you know what? I had a blast. I enjoyed it, right? I've learned that a little bit of adversity that's not going to kill you, right? It's not really going to hurt you. You're just going to get a little wet. It's a little uncomfortable. It's actually a little fun, right? I had a new tarp and a new hammock I was wanting to try out, and so it was a good test of my equipment. Sorry, my nose is itching. I think my mustache is reaching up and tickling my nose hairs. Bearded problems. Yeah, learn to have a positive attitude and be adaptable and have a preparedness mindset, not being a weird prepper. There could be some wisdom in being prepared for some situations, but if you get the mindset of Semper Paratus, you'll have more fun and you'll adapt to situations better. So I encourage you to live that way. It's great. I invite you into it. It's fantastic. I have a lot of fun being me, not because I'm great, not because I'm all wise and all knowing, but because you can only be yourself. Everybody else is taken. Who said that? Bob Dylan or somebody? It's true. Learn to be yourself. Learn to take life on the chin. Learn to roll with the punches. And if you're prepared, you kind of know how to punch back at life. Life's going to punch you. Learn to punch back a little bit. Get a little punchiness, but with a laugh, with a joy. Learn to enjoy a little bit of adversity. Stop complaining. Complaint is the killer of joy. Complaint is the killer of preparedness. Because if you're complaining all the time and you're not prepared and you're not ready, and it'll rob you of your joy. When things happen, you can get robbed of your joy by the little inconveniences of life, and they're coming. And you can complain about them, or you can roll with the punches, punch back when you can, and keep on trucking. And don't lose your vision, and don't lose yourself in it. It'll really help you. So I hope this helps. May the Lord bless you and keep you, and He shine His face upon you. May the Holy Spirit show you the way to live your best life, a life of fullness and joy. In Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.